Hello everyone! Welcome back to the second episode of my Zero to Hero adventure on the Restoration Shaman. On this week, we managed to complete 8 Mythic Plus dungeons, got some very disappointing loot, some headache, but at the end of the week, we at least managed to boost our rating quite a bit. We continue where we left off, item level still sitting at 594 and our Mythic Plus rating still sitting at 759. On this week, I will ignore all other weekly activities, I will only complete the Mythic dungeons, so let's jump into it. Starting with opening the Great Vault. The selection is not that great, the no-brainer choice is definitely the Hero Chest piece. Our weekly key is a Stone Wall plus 4, which I'm really not sure that I will be using. The first run of the week is a Mist plus 3, and let me start off by saying how much I hate this dungeon. I just hate everything about it. The loading screen, the color scheme, the sound effects, the creatures, the flow of the dungeon, the encounters. Any second I spend here is painful, but we need to tackle this obstacle to reach our goals. The first boss goes down with a few unnecessary deaths, but the next part is the one that I dread the most. As far as I know, helping the team to navigate through the maze and spotting the clone during the boss fight should be the duty of the healer. I don't mind the extra responsibility, but at this point I feel I need some help from an add-on. So I installed the Maze Helper add-on, and basically the sole purpose of this run to get familiar with the add-on itself, as I have never used it before. The way the add-on works is quite simple, however it requires some of your attention. You will need to reveal the symbols. Select the symbols from the add-on manually, and after selecting all 4, the add-on will announce in the chat which is the correct path. For this maze section, this is quite easy to deal with unless all of a sudden your team starts falling over. However, on the boss fight itself, it's quite a different story. The Mistcaller fight, where there is already a lot happening, a tankbuster spell to interrupt, a dodgeball to avoid, an odd to CC or kill, a guessing game to take part where you need to find the odd one out and take it down before they take you down. The fight can start slipping very easily at any point during the fight, and adding extra distraction for yourself can sometimes result in your own demise. At this point, my performance is already awful. During this run, I die all over and over again while messing with the add-on. The team also fails to follow any of the mechanics. At this point, I have some real doubts of how I will be able to complete this dungeon on a plus 10.
I must get closer.
Stay away from lines. Stay away from lines. Stay away from lines.
Your ascension.
Lines.
After many unsuccessful attempts, the frustration peaks and the team decides to give up. What a flying start. Moving on to the next one. City of Threads plus 4. In my opinion, the most boring dungeon of the season. However, as I'm not fully clear about the mechanics here, could be quite an interesting one. The magic debuff keeps me thinking, what's the proper way of doing this? So I end up dispelling myself and stunning the shaman on the other side, who also happens to have the other pair of the debuff and the purple beam on itself. Somehow the shaman lives another day, unlike the mage who stayed in the puddle and could not be saved. But after all, the boss goes down, and now we have arrived to the most boring part of the dungeon, chasing the three eyes of the queen.
Another spine is falling.
Your ascension.
There is really not much to mention about the duo boss fight. After chasing them all around the arena, they go down quite easily. At this section, we definitely lose control of the situation. We end up bouncing all over the place, hatching additional ads, and we end up wiping.
Your ascension
Target
is
changed.
complete.
Let's just pretend that never happened.
Only the strongest survive.
It's one of those boss fights that looks very simple at first, but can end up being a struggle. In this case, our bloodlust is on cooldown, but the team manages to burst it down with no issues.
Target
Is
changed.
complete.
AoE incoming.
Quite uneventful and slow run, but we end up timing the key for a +1 and some well-deserved gold. And now, we are in Arakara +4, the scariest dungeon of the season. To set the mood of the run, I die like a donkey twice, rather
Your
quick on the first
survival
boss.
Wasn't your
Even though I fail quite badly here, this is not the reason why I consider this dungeon the scariest of the season. The last encounter, without a doubt, is the most challenging one, simply because of the negative effect of the tunnel vision we have all heard and experienced before. Also, by the time you reach the last boss, most of the work is done. All you need to do is take down one single unit of enemy, and this is usually the set part where the groups end up fighting multiple times, throwing all progress out of the window and eventually disbanding the group. Fight goes quite smooth until the point where we decide to pick the same pool, but there is obviously only room for one, so I end up dying to the big AoE. We managed to recover and finish the key for a +2. Next one is Dawnbreaker +4. We managed to get a pretty good group here, and as I was expecting after the first pool, we're just smashing through the whole dungeon. The pools are fine, the beams are fine, transition is fine, the rogue dying is fine, and the boss going down is also fine. First mini boss, fine. Second, fine. Third, fine.
Run.
Not much of an issue at the boss fight either. The big orb being handled properly, the boss goes down smoothly. And now we have arrived to the last boss, a rather gimmicky fight.
Watch your step.
is complete.
As the group has been doing exceptionally well, there was really not much to expect on the last fight either. The boss goes down really easily, but after the fight, we all end up dying. I'm really not sure what happened there. Dying after completing the dungeon didn't really change much. We successfully managed to time the key for a +3. Next one is a Grim Battle +5, where I started losing my sanity. After clearing the trash before the drakes, Slight miscoordination happens within the group. One part of the group decides to take flight, the other decides to pull another pack. But by the time of the landing, the tides have changed.
Only the strong.
From this point, the group really starts to fall apart. We start with some overpulling before the second boss.
Target
Is
changed.
complete.
During the fight, the tank decides to pull the boss into the wrong direction. At the third phase, the tank gets obliterated. Even though it gets battle res, we are already too late. And as a result, we ran out of space, and we also ended up pulling an additional puck,
Your ascension
which after all ended wiping the fight again.
Target
is
changed.
complete.
Defensive.
I think
Third time the charm, the boss finally goes down, but there is a lot more to come.
Target
is
changed.
complete.
At this point, I was really expecting the Valiuna fight to fail on the elementals. However, despite the tank turning the devouring flames on the group twice, we still managed to take down the boss. And as a victory rush, the group decides to throw out all the progress and the
Your
remaining time we have.
Target
Is
changed.
complete.
Brental.
Your survival wasn't necessary.
With this very unfortunate pull and wiping, we definitely lost all chance of being able to time the key. The last fight really goes down as you would be expecting it. People staying in the Shadow Gale or stepping into the Shadow Gale, the tank being caught by a tentacle and being obliterated by the boss short after. No wonder we end up wiping the first attempt.
Only the strongest.
Fortunately, the second attempt goes much smoother and the boss goes down. We failed to time the key, and I also ended up getting no loot again, but at least now I'm free from this place. Oh, Mist of Tirna Plus 3, we are back again. The last run left a little bit of bad taste, and I also feel like I need more practice with the Mishapper add-on, so here we go. There is really not much to say here. I will speed up the video until we reach my personal favorite, the Squeaky Toy Boss. We fail a few mechanics here, we suffer some casualties, but finally the reign of terror is over. Heading on to the last boss, goes down nice and simple, missing a little bit of percentage, but the extra trash is well within reach, ending the key with a +2, and what about the loot again? Well, let's just forget about it. The next one is a Necrotic Wake, +5. From the very first pull, it's quite obvious that our warrior tank is very clear of what needs to be done. Not surprisingly, my impression that the tank ends up carrying the group throughout the whole dungeon by choosing a great route, doing great pulls, controlling the situation, and also handling all the armaments. This run definitely felt like a relief after those unfortunate Grim Battle and Mists of Tirna rounds. Definitely best run of the week. The run is quite seamless, we end up finishing the dungeon for a +3.
Rejoice. Your
Stoneworld +6. In terms of difficulty, this is where I draw the line for this week. I'm aware that many people reach Keystone Hero on the first week, however for me, my item level feels somewhat low for the difficulty. By this week, I believe I learned how to dispel against the Tankbuster spell. And as that being said, the first boss goes down easily, no issues. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for a certain curse. I failed to read what my Purify spell is capable of, and I also forgot about it that I have an extra talent point on it as well. With a talent point invested in it, I would be able to dispel the curses as well. However, without this information, I don't even bother, resulting a few unnecessary deaths, wasting my mana, and ultimately wasting some precious time. Despite the whole run feeling really rushed for me, it's still only a +1 with some Warbound loot, but hey, we will take it for now. Mist of Tirna +6 again. Oh, sorry, I meant, oh, Mist of Tirna +6 again. I just love this place, I can't get enough of it. Starting with a rather big pool, I haven't noticed it before on the lower keys, but there is some nasty debuff ticking on me on this time. I'm literally seconds away from dying. If this was a +10 on a trash week, I'm really not sure how we should survive this. But anyways, smashing through the first boss and the maze, and we reach the lair of the abomination itself. This creature haunts my dreams. I die by paying attention to the add-on. Then I die again by paying attention to the add-on. Then the whole fight starts slipping and we end up wiping. Then we go again and then I die again playing with the add-on. Then the guessing game goes horribly wrong again, so we wipe again. The group is really frustrated at this point, and I personally ready to give it up. However, we decide to go for a last try. Not a clean kill by any means, but at least the monstrosity is finally no more. Heading on to the last boss, we already ran out of time for certain reasons, but we are still dedicated to finish the dungeon. I'm really tired and I can't focus on the game anymore. I obviously end up dying to the swirly because of that, but the team manages to take down the boss without me. Clearing a little bit more of the trash for the missing percentage, but as they die, we successfully complete the last dungeon of the week. I'm still really not satisfied with my overall performance. The loot was quite disappointing through all the dungeons, but we managed to complete 8 Mythic Plus dungeons and closing with an item level of 599 and the Mythic Plus rating of 1751. If you enjoyed watching this episode, give it a like, leave a comment and hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next one.